Good evening and welcome, fellow travelers. It's that time once again. It's time for this. It's time for the Psychedelicatessen right here on Cheer FM and on Radio Gordo. As usual, I'm your host, Randall Liberon, guiding us through 2 hours of psychedelic rock on a Saturday night. And this week, well, I figured out a new path for us to go. It's Father's Day weekend, and it seemed to me that the easiest thing might have been to pick a bunch of songs that had father or dad or, something along those lines in the title, because it's maybe kind of easy to build a show around something like that. But what I hit upon was the idea of something in terms of the structure of the show that I have not yet attempted in the history of this show. Last week, as I was saying, it was the 14th anniversary show. So for us to be able to find something new to do in all this time, well, I'm going to take that opportunity. And so what we're going to do tonight is kind of a mirroring, if that might make any sense, and it might make a little bit more sense as I take the time to explain it. So what I'm going to do is maybe perhaps you can look at it like increasing intensity in a air quotes trip. Like when those cool kids would get wild and crazy with the psychedelics. So what we're going to do is, in this show, I have a track list, and then at the halfway point, we basically go through all those artists again with even weirder tracks. Starting it all off tonight, though, this is Jefferson Airplane, going back to 1968's Crown of Creation LP. This is one that opened up that album, one of my enduring favorites of the Airplane. This is Lather.
Lather was 30 years old today. They took away all of his toys. His mother sent newspaper clippings to him about his old friends who'd stopped being boys. There was Howard C. Green, just turned 33. His leather chair waits at the bank. And Sergeant Dow Jones, 27 years old, commanding his very own tank. But Lather still finds it a nice thing to do, to lie about nude in the sand, drawing pictures of mountains that look like bumps, and thrashing the air with his hands. But wait, whole Lather's productive, he produces the finest of sound, putting drumsticks on either side of his nose, snorting the best licks in town. But that's all over. Lather was 30 years old today, and lather came foam from his tongue. He looked at me, eyes wide, and plainly say, "Is it true that I'm no longer young?" Mommy? And the children call him famous, what the old men call insane. And sometimes he's so nameless that he hardly knows what game to play, which words to say. And I should have told him, no, you're not old, and I should have let him go on smiling. Baby, why?
Egypt's daughter, mountains of the moon, Electra bow and bend to me. I hold the carrion crow, faldy-raldy riddle. I hold the carrion crow, bow and bend to me. Hey, Tom Banjo. Hey, Aloro. More than Laurel you may sow. More than Laurel you may sow. Hey, the city in the rain. Hey, 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 the wild weed waving in the wind. "20 degrees of solitude, 20 degrees in all the dancing kings and wives assembled in the hall. Lost is the long and loneliest time, very simple flying all along the mountains of the moon. Hey, Tom Banjo, it's time matter. The earth will see you on through this time. The earth will see you on through this time. Down by the border, the Marsh King's daughter, did you know? Clothed in tatters, always will be. Tom, where did you go? Mountains of the moon, Electra, mountains of the moon. All along the mountains of the moon. I hold the carrion crow, faldy-raldy riddle. I hold the carrion crow, bow and bend to me. Bend to me. Na 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 na
With a pair of songs that sound surprisingly pastoral considering they're two Bay Area bands. That was the Grateful Dead wrapping up that set. Mountains of the Moon, a great song from that band. I would almost have liked to have heard it produced a little cleaner, but that murk surrounding those acoustic guitars, I suppose that's one of the sort of enduring bits of charm for that one, coming to us from the third Grateful Dead album. Pretty cool outing from them. We listened to something off their second LP last week. Doesn't mean that we're going to check out something from their fourth next week, but hey, we did Grateful Dead 2 weeks in a row. Grateful Dead followed up Jefferson Airplane Lather from them. Really liked the story of that one. The restrained playing, the acoustic sort of instrumentation, the nose solo, as it were, in the middle is pretty ridiculous as well. Good times. Next up on the show, let's see, we have 3 bands in this set, and 2 of them are out of the UK. We got the Rolling Stones standing by with a hit from '68. We're going to check out Street Fighting Man. Before that, this is one that features varying numbers of future Led Zeppelin members. I have heard it said that it features everybody but Robert Plant. John Paul Jones is the one that seems to be maybe in or out, depending on the source. But when Donovan laid down Hurdy Gurdy Man, they had John Bonham on drums and Jimmy Page on guitar. It's probably one of the reasons why this one rocks so much. Let's check it out right now. Hurdy Gurdy Man.
Thrown like a star in my vast sleep, I opened my eyes to take a peep, to find that I was by the sea, gazing with tranquility. Just then when the hurdy-gurdy man came singing songs of love, then when the hurdy-gurdy man came singing songs of love. Hurdy-gurdy sang. Hurdy-gurdy sang. Hurdy-gurdy sang. Histories of ages past, unenlightened shadows cast down through all eternity, the crying of humanity. 'Tis then when the hurdy-gurdy man comes singing songs of love. Then when the hurdy-gurdy man comes singing songs of love. Hurdy-gurdy, hurdy-gurdy, hurdy-gurdy-gurdy sang. Hurdy-gurdy, 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 hurdy-gurdy. Hurdy-gurdy, hurdy-gurdy, hurdy-gurdy-gurdy sang. Here comes a roly-poly man and he's singing songs of love. Roly-poly, 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 he sang. Hurdy-gurdy, 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 he sang. Hurdy-gurdy, 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 he sang. Roly-poly, roly-poly.
Summer the good air come in. Freshen the flowers, woman, for there are no more sins in. Hand me my bag, Frederick. Stretch out your mind, feel good. Utopia's at my doorstep. Come, there is no more hatred. Come, live a better life. All is what you strive for. And now there are many birds in my tree. Open your eyes to it. First please, then why? Raise up your arms higher. We have a reason to fly.
From the West Coast, that was Strawberry Alarm Clock from the Incense and Peppermints album, a cut called Birds in My Tree. Wrapped up a set that also featured Street Fighting Man by the Rolling Stones before that, and Hurdy Gurdy Man before that, Donovan, the artist in that case. That Street Fighting Man cut from the Stones, one of the legends about that particular track is it features some of the demo guitar work that Keith Richards laid down, and it was an acoustic guitar recorded on a really cheap cassette recorder, and they couldn't replicate that sound when they used higher end equipment and more expensive studios, and so it's from that original demo tape that those ringing guitar chords at the very beginning are actually taken and then put into the higher end recording. Pretty cool stuff. I like the way a little bit of that magic sometimes comes through in some of these recordings. I'm Randall LeBron. This is the Psychedelicatessen on Radio Gordo and Cheer FM. Next up in the show, well, we're going to hang out in the LA scene a little bit longer with this next set of bands. We have Love standing by. Going to go all the way back to the first Love album for a track called Emotions. But you know what? I want to check out something from The Doors. And this one, well, I mean, ever since I first personally got into The Doors, this one has been one of my favorites. Maybe it's been overdone over the years, but I don't care. I'm going to allow us to check it out. It's a beautiful song. This is The Crystal Ship by The Doors.
Before you slip into unconsciousness, I'd like to have another kiss, another flashing chance at bliss, another kiss, another kiss. The days are bright and filled with pain. Enclose me in your gentle rain. The time you ran was too insane. We'll meet again. We'll meet again. Freedom lies. The streets are fields that never die. Deliver me from reasons why you'd rather cry. I'd rather fly. crystal ship is being filled. 1,000 girls, 1,000 thrills, a million ways to spend your time. When we get back, I'll drop a line.
Oh, the summertime is coming, and the leaves are sweetly turning, and the wild mountain thyme blooms across the purple heather. Will you go, lassie, go? If you will not go with me, I will surely find another to pull wild mountain thyme all across the purple heather. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pull wild mountain thyme all across the purple heather. Will you go, lassie, go? To pull wild mountain thyme all across the purple heather. Will you go, lassie, go?
Despite the earlier success of their first two albums, it was 5D by the Byrds, which sort of saw their career temporarily derailed when it was the song 8 Miles High that kind of got banned and sort of halted the meteoric rise of the band. That song was from that album, Wild Mountain Time. It seems like one of those ones that probably wouldn't have been banned. It doesn't seem as overtly druggy as 8 Miles High might have been, but you know what? I think the Byrds managed to do all right, launching, of course, careers of like David Crosby, who would later go on to find a bigger fortune and fame as a member of Crosby, Stills, Nash, and as a solo artist. He died earlier this year. Really amazing, if I'm absolutely frank, that he lived so long. I remember mentioning it at work, and somebody alluded to maybe a certain medication that many people were coerced or forced into taking. It might have been the cause. And I said, do you know who you're talking about? It was David Crosby. That guy did enough drugs to kill a number of people. He had a constitution that shockingly allowed him to live to be 81 years old, and I don't think he was robbed of many, many years. If anything, he crammed more living into the years he was granted than many, many others would actually be able to do. So sad that he's gone, but man, envious of, I suppose, the life that he lived. And of course, member of the Byrds, who were a member of the LA scene, along with Love, whom we heard from before that, Emotions, taken from their 1965 debut LP, Love, and The Doors from their debut LP, that was The Crystal Ship. Great song from them. I'm Randall Liberon. This is the Psychedelicatessen on Cheer FM and Radio Gordo. As I said at the beginning of the show, what we're doing is we're going to end up mirroring this set. I'm going to run all the same artists in the same order at about the halfway point of this show tonight. It's going to be an interesting journey. I haven't done anything quite like this before. If you maybe noticed, it's been a little restrained in terms of the song styles. Not crazy weird yet. We'll get there. We're going to start to slide into this shift with, you know what? This next pair of songs. We're going to look at, actually, as I'm looking at it, a couple more Southern California bands. We've got the West Coast Pop Art Experimental Band, one of my favorites, if you remember me talking about them last week. But before we get into that one, this is Iron Butterfly, and a track called Possession.
She starts to love another. It's possession. It's possession.
my mind. I tried to push her away. I shut and locked the door. Her eyes grew large and asking, and the smell of incense filled her room. Ever-present fullness of expectation. What happened to her childhood dreams? The sidewalk smothers us tomorrow, and the smell of incense filled her room. And locked the door. Her eyes grew large and asking, and the smell of incense filled her room. And the smell of incense filled her room. And the smell of incense filled her room.
2, released in 1967. That was West Coast pop art experimental band with Smell of Incense. In last week's show, we heard a band called Southwest FOB cover that one. That's the original version. I really, really enjoy what they did with that one. A band that I think if you really go through their catalog, that's one of the most extended jams that they did. And I think that the enduring legacy with that band was how concise they were with their weirdness. They didn't devote extended amounts of time to psychedelic noodling like many bands of the era did. And I think that contained madness is what crystallizes into something that's just a little more potent, if you know what I mean, than something that always had room to breathe. They didn't give themselves a lot of space to just, meander. And I think they made stronger LPs as a result of that. Iron Butterfly, Possession before that. And now, fellow travelers, it's time for the worm to turn just a little bit. We're going back to the start of the show with these artists. I got Grateful Dead and Jefferson Airplane in this pair of songs. We're going to get weirder now, and you'll see what I mean. And we're going to kick it off with this one. Another track from 1967. It was their second LP released in that year, After Bathing at Baxter's. Definitely, for my money, the weirdest point for the Jefferson Airplane. Now, despite what I was saying about lack of noodling time making West Coast pop art experimental band better, this song gets really cool in some of the live cuts when Jack just really gets the chance to just take off on bass. It's pretty amazing when he does that and just really cuts loose. I mean, Jack Cassidy's playing is just really funky. Restrained on this one though. It is the studio outing from After Bathing at Baxter's. This is Jefferson Airplane, the ballad of You, Me, and Pooh Neal.
And you live very high. You lean on the wind when the breeze came by. Say
fail, mumbling bitches and all wagging his tail. Come on, everybody, get up and dance. It won't ruin you.
And that was the Grateful Dead going back to Anthem of the Sun, their second LP released in early 1968. That was the one that opens up side 2, Alligator. Nice workout from them. In the 14th anniversary show, we heard the cut that opened up side 1, so, nice little through line, despite us moving into new territory on this particular show. Jefferson Airplane. From After Bathing at Baxter's, there was the Ballad of You and Me and Pooh Neal that opened up that pair of songs. Fellow travelers, it's time for us to check out another set of songs, oddly enough. And this one mirrors, again, a set earlier in the show. We're definitely getting into weirder territory here because we're going to check out Gomper from the Rolling Stones going back to 67's, their Satanic Majesty's Request. Kind of what the band sort of views now in retrospect as basically drug-fueled madness, kind of a waste of a record. For me, I find it to be a really great artifact of their career. I mean, I'd rather listen to that any day than Black and Blue or anything like that. Basically Tattoo You onwards. Give me Satanic Majesty's Request. Before we get into that one, we got a cut from Donovan sliding on in there. This is Tangier.
Down a windy street where beggars meet and on no rags to sleep. The women dressed in soiled white sheet with starving kids by their side, with staring eyes that never weep. Old Moroccans with their elephantitis feet, who life and death treat so cheap, happy in their hunger, for they lived longer than their
grassy lake she's riding. She swims to the side, the sun sees her dried. The birds hover high, I'd stifle a cry. Hover high, she moans with a sigh.
alone when streetlights glow would fill the room. Figures beat a native drum and played a song for telling tune. Sing a song, try not to utter words of night that say black butter. Take it in your hands and touch it. If you strike it, will it bleed? And if it dies, you'll hear the cries and know the meaning of black butter. Standing there. When you see him, try to talk to him. He will not answer. It just cries nowhere. It just cries nowhere. Oh, yes, but you don't know where. You don't know where, no. Thrust it up, then down again. Smash it! Oh, do it again. Break it! Oh, yeah. And destroy it! Destroy it! Oh, yes, destroy it! Oh. And if it dies, you'll hear the cries and know the meaning of black butter. Step outside.
and taken from their second LP, The Future. That was Strawberry Alarm Clock with the three-part song suite that wrapped up that particular album, Black Butter, Past, Present, Future. And that followed up the Rolling Stones with Gomper and Donovan with Tangier, definitely getting a little bit more weird and peculiar considering it was Hurdy Gurdy Man, Street Fighting Man earlier in the show. I guess Birds in My Tree by Strawberry Alarm Clock earlier on was kind of weird, just like that last one, but the middle section, Present, sort of really seemed to fit in with the vibe being laid down by the Rolling Stones and Donovan. I'm Randall LeBron. This is the Psychedelicatessen on Cheer FM and Radio Gordo. If you want to check this out at your leisure, check out the Facebook page for this show. There's a pinned post at the top of the page, and it's going to take you directly to the Radio Gordo Spreaker archive of all of these shows. It's a really great resource. If you want to check it out and do the on-demand stream, that's a great way to do it. Shows usually posted the following day in that location. So you know what, this show is number 76 since I hooked up with these guys and got it going out through there. So there's nearly all of them are 2 hours, I think, except for the first 5 were 1 hour. So you basically have nearly 150 hours of programming of just the Psychedelicatessen. There's a whole lot of other stuff on there as well. So definitely slide over to the Radio Gordo page on Spreaker to check out the archive of this show and many others. In the meantime, we have some Doors to get to. It was Crystal Ship earlier, still hanging out on the same album, but we're getting bigger, we're getting weirder, and despite things not wrapping up quite yet, we now find ourselves at the end. Here's the Doors on the Psychedelicatessen.
This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end, my only friend. The end of our elaborate plans. The end of everything that stands. The end. No safety or surprise, the end. I'll never look into your eyes again. Can you picture what will be so limitless and free? Desperately in need of some stranger's hand in a desperate land. Lost in a romance, wilderness of pain. and all the children are insane. All the children are insane. Waiting for the summer rain, There's danger on the edge of town. Ride the King's Highway, baby. Weird scenes inside the gold mine. Ride the highway west, baby. Ride the snake, ride the snake to the lake, the ancient lake, baby. The snake is long, 7 miles. Ride the snake. He's old and his skin is cold. The West is the best. The West is the best. Get here and we'll do the rest. The blue bus is calling us. The blue bus is calling us. Driver, where you taking us? The killer awoke before dawn. He put his boots on. He took a face from the ancient gallery and he walked on down the hall. He went into the room where his sister lived, and then he paid a visit to his brother, and then he walked on down the hall, and he came to a door, and he looked inside. Father, yes, son, I want to kill you. Mother, I want to. Come on, baby, take a chance with us. Come on, baby, take a chance with us. Come on, baby, take a chance with us and meet me at the back of the blue bus. Do not blue rock on that blue bus. Do not. Come on, yeah. This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end, my only friend. The end. It hurts to set you free, but you'll never follow me. The end of laughter and soft lies. The end of nights we try to die. This is the end.
And with the track that long, it didn't seem like it was necessarily worth it to jam three of the bands together. So The Doors, The End, the one that wrapped up their debut LP, it stands alone there. And I think, with pretty good reason. One of my favorite songs of the era. I know a lot of people kind of like to make fun of The Doors. I guess they've become an easy target over the years. But for me, that song is just, I almost feel that in my own DNA. I've spent so much time listening to it, and at such an influential age. I remember my grade 8 bedroom being bathed in nothing but the blue, sort of aqua kind of color coming off the stereo display in my bedroom, a candle burning on an overturned coffee can. So it was on metal, trying to be safe, and that was burning, but in front of a mirror, so it got that reflection. But it just, those two light sources, no other like jazz cigarettes or anything like that going on, just my sort of young mind being awash in the sound of The Doors very, very late at night. And you know what? Leaves an impression, gotta say. Another band that left an impression at me, but at a much later age, is this band Love. We listened to them earlier. We checked out something off of their very first album earlier. They did sort of 3 albums with that original lineup. By the time of their 4th album, For Sale came along. They switched everything up. Arthur Lee was the only surviving member. It kind of made sense. He was the leader of the band. So from For Sale, this is August.
Said August is all that I know. It's with me wherever I go. It's with me when I need a friend. It brings me good weather. It keeps me together. It picks me up when I'm down. I love you, I do. I share all my dinings with you, but I can't help from wondering why you're all so good to me. You do good things for me. You pick me up when I'm down.
if your memory serves you well. We were gonna meet again and wait. So I'm going to unpack all my things and sit before it gets too late. No man alive will comfort you with another tale to tell. You know that we shall meet again if your memory serves you well. Wheels on fire, rolling down the road. There's nowhere to find my next of kin. This wheel shall explode. If your memory serves you well, I was gonna confiscate your legs and wrap it up in a sailor's knot and hide it in your cake. If I knew for sure that it was yours, but it was oh so hard to tell. You know that we shall meet again if your memory serves you well. Wheels on fire, rolling down the road. There's nowhere to find my next of kin. This wheel shall explode. If your memory serves you well, then you remember you're the one who called on them, to call on him, to get you your favors done. But after every plan had failed, there was nothing more to tell. You know that we shall meet again if your memory serves you well. Wheels on fire, rolling down the road. There's nowhere to find my next of kin. This wheel shall explode.
That's a song that I far more often associate with the band than I do the Byrds, but that was the Byrds' take on This Wheels on Fire. Pretty cool, surprisingly heavy in a few places, and an apt follow-up to Love and the track August. Alright, fellow travelers, if we've been talking about getting longer and weirder and revisiting bands from earlier in the show, we're throwing it down hard on this one. I think this one features one of the most identifiable riffs of the era. The album itself actually just turned 55 years old on June 14th. That's right, released back in 1968. Iron Butterfly put out a song, and it took up the whole side of an album, and it's been parodied in everything from, I remember it being used in The Simpsons, when it's played as a hymn in the church. Great moment there. I remember Slayer covering this song back in like the early 90s, so a really odd cover there. I remember it being used in the 6th Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, it's popped up in so many places. This riff is amazingly identifiable. It's been described as having the sound of a rampaging elephant-styled guitar solo. It's like 17 minutes long. It's an acid freakout if ever there was one committed to vinyl. And this is Inagata Vida, right here on the Psychedelicatessen on Cheer FM and Radio Gordo.
Don't you know that I'm loving you? In a Inagata Vida, baby. Don't you know that I'll always be true? Oh, won't you come with me and take my hand? Oh, won't you come with me and walk this line? Please take my hand. Let me tell you, Inagata Vida, honey. Don't you know that I'm loving you? Inagata Vida, baby. Don't you know that I'll always be true? Oh, won't you come with me and take my hand? Oh, won't you come with me and walk this line? Please take my hand. In a garden of freedom, honey, don't you know that I'm loving you? In a garden of freedom, baby, don't you know that I've always been true? Oh, won't you come with me and take my hand? Oh, won't you come with me and we'll walk this line? Please take my hand.
Yes, now that is what we call a vintage freakout, fellow travelers. Inagata Devita by Iron Butterfly, one of those truly psychedelic masterpieces. All right, fellow travelers, we do find ourselves now at the final song of the night, and to really bring everything full circle, it's going to be the West Coast pop art experimental band wrapping everything up. We're going to go to their album Volume 3 for this one. We checked out something from Volume 2 earlier. This one, I think, is kind of, well, a bit of an acid nightmare, if it was to be anything from the West Coast pop art experimental band. This is A Child's Guide to Good and Evil. that's it, fellow travelers. Made it through to the other side of another edition of the Psychedelicatessen. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to tune into the weird sounds that we're laying down on this show tonight. Thanks to CHR-FM and to Radio Gordo for allowing this to have a home on both of those stations. Much gratitude on my end. Thank you for helping this get out to many more ears, and we'll share these psychedelic sounds around for a little bit longer. And until next time, you want to have a good time. Y'all be cool to one another, and we'll catch you later. Peace.
In the morning.